Hey guys, it's midnight. Snow crunches softly beneath your feet. There's no streetlight, no porch, no glow of a nearby city. Just a sliver of moonlight slipping between thick clouds as you trudge through frostbitten silence. Your breath fogs in front of your face. You're wrapped in animal skins, thick and stiff, but still the cold creeps in, slow and sharp, like fingers tracing your bones. Somewhere behind you, the mammoth herd groans. A low, distant rumble. Somewhere closer, maybe too close, a wolf howls. The Ice Age night isn't a gentle one. It's a constant negotiation with nature. You don't drift off to sleep so much as surrender carefully, with one eye open. And let's be clear, you probably wouldn't survive this. Your phone would freeze in minutes, your fingers in hours. This world is brutal, and sleep isn't a given, it's something you earn. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And tell me, where are you listening from? And what time is it where you are? Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You slip inside your shelter. It's not a house. It's not even a tent. It's a rough dome of mammoth bones, interlaced with sinew and hide, built by hands that never typed an email or turned on a light switch. Smoke from a central fire curls upward through a hole in the top, drawing out the chill and carrying with it the greasy scent of cooked reindeer. This is your home tonight, and it's better than being outside. The ground crunches underfoot, but it's padded deliberately with dry grasses, pine needles, maybe even moss if you're lucky. The Ice Age wasn't all glaciers and saber-tooths. People adapted. They built places to rest. You settle onto a bed that isn't really a bed. It's more like a layered pile of reeds and skins, with your own furred cloak wrapping around your shoulders. The hide of some long-dead beast becomes your blanket. It's not clean. It probably stinks of smoke and sweat and unwashed bodies. But it's warm. Some Ice Age camps, especially in Eastern Europe, left traces of sleeping platforms built from stone or mammoth bones, packed with insulating earth and plant matter. Historians still argue whether these platforms were communal sleeping benches or work surfaces. Either way, you're not on a memory foam mattress tonight. Above you, the sky groans. Wind pushes against your shelter's hide walls, making them tremble. The flap that covers the door lifts briefly, letting in a shard of freezing air and a sound you don't recognize. You tug your cloak tighter and close your eyes, though every sense stays alert. You're not alone in the shelter. A few others are already wrapped up beside the fire. A child whimpers softly in her sleep. Someone coughs, a deep, chesty bark that rattles the quiet. You know that sound. It's been going around the camp. Outside, the world stretches on forever white and silent and sharp. But in here, for now, there's a strange kind of safety. A bubble of warmth in a deadly landscape. Here's a quirky detail you wouldn't expect. Archaeologists have found traces of ochre near Ice Age bedding sites. That red clay pigment might have been used for rituals, decoration, or maybe even as an insect repellent. Imagine sprinkling pigment over your sleep mat like prehistoric bug spray. You lie there trying to quiet your mind. The cold bites, but it's familiar. What's harder is the noise inside your own head. Thoughts of food, of that one guy from the next shelter who keeps taking extra meat, of the tracks found near the river yesterday. Were they feline? Or something worse? You listen for the fire, the soft pop and hiss. It's the closest thing you have to a lullaby. Sleep doesn't come easily out here. It sneaks in when your body gives up, when the fire's warmth sinks into your chest and your bones stop clenching. Some historians believe sleep back then was fragmented light, guarded, always ready to end in an instant. You didn't aim for 8 hours. You aimed for survival. A sudden gust of wind sends your shelter creaking. You flinch. It's automatic. But no one else moves, so you breathe out slowly and let your muscles soften. Even though you're exhausted, part of you resists sleep. You've heard too many stories of people taken in the night, of noises that turned into claws. Still, your body wins. The cold makes you conserve energy. Your eyes flutter. The fire dances on the backs of your eyelids. Welcome to the first night of a long winter. 20,000 years ago, you wake with your cheek pressed into something coarse, and cold grass, maybe, or a scrap of fur that slipped from your shoulders in the night. For a moment, you don't move. You listen. There's a low breathing around you, the kind that comes from several people all asleep at once. A faint creak from the wind pressing against the shelter. The quiet crackle of a dying fire. Then the ache hits. Your back, your hips, your neck all complaining, as if sleeping had been a form of battle. Welcome to your Ice Age bed. Forget your plush memory foam or ergonomic pillows. Here, you're lying on a bed made of whatever doesn't freeze solid overnight. The base layer is bones, big, heavy ones, usually from mammoths or other large animals. They're arranged carefully in a kind of raised frame to keep you off the ground and away from the worst of the cold. Over that, there's a layer of dried grasses or reeds, woven into mats or just scattered loosely. Then come the hides, maybe deer, bison, or even wolf if you're lucky enough to have the pelt and unlucky enough to sleep alone. Your pillow, that's your rolled up clothing, or your own arm, or nothing. Neck support wasn't trending in 18,000 BC. Historians know about these Ice Age sleep setups from dig sites like Dolní Věstonice in the Czech Republic, where oval-shaped patches of charred earth surrounded by bones and artifacts suggest living and sleeping quarters. There's evidence of mammoth scapulae being used as floor supports, and layers of carbonized plant matter that may have served as bedding. Still, no one's quite sure what the ideal Ice Age bed looked like. Some say people layered animal skins thickly enough to create cushions. Others argue that sleep was so fragmented and restless, they didn't bother optimizing comfort at all. Either way, you wouldn't call it cozy. But here's the thing, you're exhausted. The cold drains you, the hunger wears you down, and every muscle you used to scrape snow off a carcass or haul firewood now begs for relief. So even this awkward pile of bones, grass, and fur becomes something sacred, a place to collapse. There's a strange sort of intimacy to these sleeping arrangements. You're lying inches away from others, family, tribe members, even that guy with the questionable foot odor. Personal space isn't really a concept yet. Warmth is more important than comfort, and that means closeness. The furs beneath you shift as someone beside you rolls over, muttering in their sleep. Their elbow nudges your side, and you grunt softly, too tired to protest. Maybe that's your sister. Maybe it's an elder. Maybe it's a kid who got scared of the wind and climbed into your pile during the night. There are no bedrooms, no walls, just bodies pressed close for warmth, like a pile of puppies trying to survive a storm. And honestly, that works. Your combined heat keeps the worst of the cold at bay. The shelter traps some of it in. The hides help insulate. Still, there's always a chill. It settles in your bones, no matter how many layers you use. Some nights, your breath frosts your upper lip. Your fingers ache. Your nose stays cold, poking out from under the hide like a reluctant groundhog. Quirky fact of the night. Some Ice Age people might have even used heated stones for bedtime comfort. They'd place warmed rocks near their bedding, Stone Age hot water bottles, basically. Some archaeologists suggest circular stone arrangements near hearths could have served this purpose. Who knew prehistoric people were out here inventing heated mattress pads? You shift again, trying to find a position where your hip isn't digging into something. It's always your hip. Always. You finally settle on your side, one hand tucked under your cheek, one knee drawn up. Outside, the wind moans again. You imagine the vast snowfields stretching past the shelter, dotted with trees turned to ice sculptures. Somewhere, a snow leopard stalks. Somewhere, a herd of elk huddles like you do. You think for a moment about the others who slept like this before you. Maybe your mother, maybe her mother, maybe people whose names you never knew. All of them lying on similar furs, facing the same dark. There's a comfort in the repetition, in knowing that you're part of a long line of survivors, that these scratchy, smelly, uncomfortable beds carried people through nights just like this one for thousands of years. And despite everything, you do fall asleep again, but only for a little while. You wake again, this time not from cold or discomfort, but from flickering. Your eyelids flutter, registering movement and light. The fire is alive again, not roaring, not bright, just pulsing gently, throwing warm orange ripples across the fur walls. You don't remember it being this strong when you drifted off. Someone must have stirred it. And then you see the shadows. They dance lazily across the domed ceiling of the shelter, antlers, arms, thick braided hair swaying slightly as someone moves near the fire. For a moment, it's hard to tell what's real and what's shadow. Your mind's still fogged with half-dreams. Firelight is everything out here. It's not just warmth. It's life. It's your Netflix, your nightlight, your security system. And at night, it's the only thing separating you from total, unknowable darkness. You roll onto your back slowly, careful not to elbow the sleeping figure beside you. The hide blanket clings to your shoulder as you shift. A small log pops in the fire. Embers leap upward. Sparks drift into the smoke hole like glowing insects. Whoever's up doesn't speak. They're hunched close to the flames, feeding in a few twigs, adjusting a stone, maybe just staring into the coals. You know that stare. It's one every Ice Age sleeper shared at some point, hypnotized by flickering light, imagining shapes in the fire, seeing faces where there are none. Because at this hour, your brain gets playful. The fire throws shadows in looping patterns. They climb the curved walls like cave paintings, come to life. You can't help it. Your mind starts weaving stories. Maybe that shadow is a giant stag. Maybe the longer one behind it is a woman, draped in feathers, arms raised. This is how myths are born, how dreams start leaking into waking moments. Historians believe fire wasn't just practical, it was psychological. It gave ancient people a kind of visual lullaby. Sitting around a flame after a hunt helped ease adrenaline. It anchored community, provided safety, and lulled minds into the deeper states needed for sleep. One fringe theory even suggests early humans may have experienced mild trance-like states from prolonged fire gazing, similar to meditation. And you get it. The fire doesn't speak, but it says something. It pulses like a heartbeat. It soothes your nerves. It tells you without words, you're still here. You're still alive. Someone shifts nearby, maybe a child turning over, maybe just the hide blanket sliding as someone curls tighter. Their movement sends a fresh round of flickering across the shelter wall. You remember something. Earlier today, during the light hours, someone had scratched a few marks into a stone near the fire. Just lines, really zigzags, dots, maybe a spiral. But now, in the moving light, those marks almost seem to move. You wonder if that was intentional. Some scholars still debate whether Ice Age cave art was meant to be seen by firelight, designed to shimmer and morph in the shadows. If so, maybe your ancestors were the original animators. Outside, the wind has slowed. There's a hush, a kind of reverent silence, the kind that makes you feel like something is watching, but not in a threatening way. In a big way. You pull the hide up to your chin and exhale slowly. Your breath doesn't fog anymore. It's too warm in here now. You let your eyes half close and just watch the fire. It's telling a story, and you don't need to understand the language. Somewhere in the corner of the shelter, an elder mumbles something in their sleep, maybe a word, maybe a prayer, maybe nonsense. You almost reply. You start drifting again, this time slower, deeper. The fire becomes a gentle rhythm, a cradle rocking on its own. It's a reminder that even in the coldest moments, there's a pocket of light. That somewhere in every icebound night, someone fed the flames and kept the shadows dancing. And if you wake again, that fire, if it hasn't died, will greet you like an old friend. Your eyes snap open, not gently this time. Something's wrong. You don't know what woke you, but it wasn't the fire or the cold. It was something sharper, quieter. You hold your breath, listen. There, a sound, a soft, rapid crunch outside the shelter. Snow underfoot, something stepping close, just beyond the fur flap. Your body goes rigid under the hide. Every instinct in you sharpens like a blade. This isn't the slow waking of cold or restlessness. This is prey alert. You glance toward the fire. It's low again, just coals now. The person who fed it earlier must have gone back to sleep. Their silhouette is barely a lump beneath the fur. Everyone else is still out, silent, unaware. You hear it again. Closer now, deliberate, not wind, not falling snow. Steps. One. Pause. Another. Your heart pounds, so loud you're sure it'll wake the others. What's out there? A cave lion. A human from a rival group. A bear lured by the scent of meat on old hides. You don't move yet. In the Ice Age, stillness can save you. Movement is noise. Movement is risk. Outside, the sound stops. Long silence, too long. Then a breath. Not yours. Just one low exhale, like something sniffing near the flap. You clench the edge of the hide over you, debating whether to wake the others. But your mind races. If you do, will that trigger a fight? Will it draw attention? Will it cause panic? This is the kind of thing Ice Age sleepers dealt with all the time. Sleep was a negotiation between survival and surrender. Some anthropologists propose that humans developed a kind of staggered sleep cycle where individuals within a group would naturally wake at different times, keeping some always semi-alert. A form of biological night watch. No alarms, just an evolved rhythm of broken sleep. You wonder if that's what woke you now. Maybe your body just knew. You strain to hear more, but whatever it was, it's moved on. You hope, and then something soft hits the flap. A thud. You flinch, involuntary. The motion rustles the hide and the bedding. A low grunt from someone else in the shelter. They stir, shift, mutter, but don't wake. You stay still a little longer, waiting. The fire crackles again. A single ember pops. Then nothing. Minutes pass. No more footsteps. No more breathing. No more sounds at all. You exhale, finally. Maybe it was an animal. Maybe just a fox. Or snow dropping from a branch. Or your mind playing tricks on you. Historians still argue whether Ice Age shelters were meant to deter predators or just minimize exposure to the elements. Some bone huts were surrounded by perimeter walls of mammoth skulls and tusks, maybe as barriers, maybe as warnings, maybe just decoration. You close your eyes again, though sleep doesn't come easily now. The idea that you could be attacked while sleeping has a way of lingering. Even when the threat's gone, you think back to earlier migrations, times when your group didn't even have permanent shelters, just quick hide tents, or nothing but cloaks and caves. In those days, you imagine sleep came in slivers. 15 minutes here, 20 there. A light doze leaning against a tree while someone else kept watch. A quirky theory you once heard around the fire. Some early tribes may have used rhythmic chanting or humming, almost like lullabies for adults, to keep people calm while sleeping near danger. A vocal security blanket. You try to hum now, just softly, under your breath. It sounds strange in the silence, but it soothes you somehow. You curl in tighter. The hide smells of smoke and sweat, but it's yours. The weight of it helps. You begin to drift again, not fully asleep, not fully awake. That fragile state where thoughts slip sideways and time loses shape. This is how you sleep in the Ice Age. Light, watchful, ready to move, but still somehow dreaming. The morning doesn't arrive all at once. There's no sunrise in the dramatic, golden sense, not in this season. Just a slow change, barely perceptible. The black outside the shelter shifts to a murky blue-gray, like someone lifted the edge of the world and let a little light seep through. You don't open your eyes at first. You just sense the change through your eyelids, the way light begins to push against sleep. And then the noises start. A cough, the shuffle of someone stretching under a stiff hide, the soft clack of bone jewelry hitting against bone wrists, and the smell. Smoke first. Always smoke. Then something more promising, animal fat sizzling faintly. Someone's already at the hearth, tending to a bit of dried meat or marrow-rich bone. You blink your eyes open. You're stiff again. No surprise. Your side aches from where you curled up, but you've survived another night. You sit up slowly. The hide slides off your shoulders, releasing a puff of cold air. Steam rises from your body, barely visible, but there. A soft ghost leaving your skin. The shelter feels smaller in the light. People packed like stones in a jar. Sleep-worn, tangled, silent in the way people are when waking isn't a choice. It's just what happens when your body's done resting. You pull your outer layer woolly, cracked with salt and soot over your shoulders, and crawl toward the opening. You step over sleeping limbs, a pile of dried grass, someone's foot poking from under a bare pelt. The flap is stiff with frost. You lift it and duck out. Outside, the world is both familiar and entirely alien. Everything is white, but not clean, fluffy white. This is gritty snow, trampled with footprints, tinged with ash and blood from yesterday's butchering. You inhale sharply. The air slices into your nostrils. Ice Age air isn't just cold, it's aggressive. It reminds you that your lungs weren't built for leisure. But the view, low mountains in the distance, barely more than humps under cloud. A stand of frost-bitten trees, smoke rising from 2 other shelters nearby, snaking upward like thin, gray spirits. You squat near the fire pit, now reduced to a smolder. A few embers glow beneath blackened logs. Someone beside you grunts a greeting, too tired for words. You nod back, and then you notice it, the tracks, just outside the shelter, in the snow. Big ones, 3-toed, deep. Someone else notices too. The older man behind you leans in, clicks his tongue softly. Not panic, just recognition. Lion, he mutters. Close last night. You swallow hard. So it wasn't your imagination. That thud, that breath, it had been real. It could have pushed through the flap if it wanted. But it didn't. Maybe the fire scared it. Maybe the smell of many humans turned it away. You share a glance with the elder. No words needed. You both know what almost happened, and what could still happen tonight. Historians still debate just how frequently early humans shared their sleeping spaces with threats, whether predators were common nighttime visitors or rare intrusions. But fossil evidence shows big cats and humans occupied many of the same caves, often at different times. Some caves have scratch marks layered beneath human tools. Others show overlapping use, so it was always a question of timing. You shift your weight and rise. No one wants to talk too much in the morning. Voices come low and few, but someone starts a chant. Low, rhythmic, not religious, just grounding. Maybe to keep minds focused. Maybe to remind the group we made it. You join in. You don't even know the words. You don't have to. The sound feels like a lid being placed gently on the chaos of night. And now the day begins. The sun never quite rises. It just peaks. A dull, apologetic glow behind thick clouds, like it knows this isn't its season. You squint up toward the sky anyway, out of habit. In the Ice Age, any light is a signal. Time to move, time to forage, time to hunt, or at least think about hunting. Your limbs ache. Every joint has something to say this morning. You roll your shoulders and hear more than one pop. It's not just the cold that stiffens you. It's the ground, the hides, the way your body fights to recover from each day's brutal routine. You scan the camp. Not everyone is up yet. The youngest still sleeps, face buried beneath a fur too big for their frame. A couple of women squat near a pile of stones, working on a gutting knife. One of the older boys is trying to fix a broken snowshoe with sinew and pure frustration. No one speaks much. Speech comes in glances, grunts, the occasional hand signal. You save words for when you need them. Someone tosses you a strip of dried meat. You catch it, bite down. It's tough, jerky made days ago, probably mammoth flank. It doesn't taste good, but it tastes like not starving. While you chew, you start noticing the little details of survival. A hide flap being patched with birch tar. A cradle of warmed stones tucked into a sling for a baby's feet. Tiny things that don't make it into documentaries, but keep people alive. Then someone asks, "How was the night?" You pause, chew, swallow. You want to say a lion came within 10 feet of killing us, but instead you just shrug. Quiet. They nod, good. That's enough. You glance at the tracks again, now slightly obscured by drifting snow. Your memory of last night's noise still lingers, but you don't dwell on it. You can't. Ice Age life doesn't leave time for post-game analysis. Instead, your thoughts drift to something stranger. The way you slept. Not if you slept, but how. It wasn't one long stretch. It was broken, in patches. You remember falling asleep at dusk, waking at moonrise, drifting again during firelight, jolting awake at the sound outside, dozing lightly till first light. Modern people call this segmented sleep. Historians argue whether our ancestors ever truly slept in a single 8-hour block. Evidence from medieval writings and tribal observations suggests many cultures once favored 2 sleep segments per night, separated by a quiet, wakeful period of rest, prayer, storytelling, or mild panic about lions. Maybe your body just wired that way. Maybe you are. And in a way, it's comforting. You're not broken for waking up 3 times in the night. You're ancient. You squat beside the fire pit again, letting the warmth lick at your fingers. A woman across from you is plucking old hairs from a wolf pelt. She hums something low and tuneless, like she's trying to remember a song, and only has half the notes. And just like that, it happens, your eyelids drop. Just a moment. Maybe 10 seconds. Maybe a minute. You jolt upright. Did you just fall asleep sitting up? Apparently so. And no one bats an eye. Because in this world, sleep comes when it can. Not when you schedule it. People nod off mid-conversation. They curl beside fire pits for 5-minute naps. They drift in and out during tanning or butchering. Sleep is fluid, not sacred, not strict. A quirky observation from an early 20th century anthropologist once claimed certain nomadic groups considered sleeping all night to be something only the sick or foolish did. Real rest came in pieces. You stretch, walk a little, stamp your feet to wake your legs. The idea of bedtime seems laughable now. You sleep when your body lets you. You wake when something wind, noise, instinct tells you to. And somehow that rhythm works. The day begins in silence, broken only by tools against stone and the occasional whistle from the boy practicing bird calls. You wonder what he dreams about. Probably not sleep. You don't realize how tired you still are until you start walking. It's not a hunt today, just a short journey to the next ridge, where one of the older scouts swore they saw rabbit trails and maybe even a frozen deer carcass. You're not convinced, but movement keeps you warm, and so you go. The air bites your cheeks as you step into the wind, but you've known worse. It's a dry cold, the kind that doesn't melt into your skin, it simply peels it away, layer by layer, until your face feels like old leather. You're moving through snow that comes up to your calves. Your boots are thick but stiff. Layers of animal hide packed with dry moss for warmth. They do the job, but they weren't built for comfort. Every step feels like walking on someone else's feet. The others trudge silently. 5 of you spread out like cautious birds. No one wants to cluster too close. If a predator charges, it shouldn't get all of you. You keep your head low, eyes scanning for tracks, for movement, for anything not white. But your mind starts drifting, almost involuntarily, back to the same strange thoughts. Sleep, not just last night's, but all of it. What it means, how it works in this place, how it sneaks in during moments of stillness, how it hovers around you like a second spirit, always waiting to reclaim you. In modern times, people call that drifting state microsleep. A few seconds here and there when the body shuts off whether you want it to or not. In the Ice Age, those fragments might be the only rest you get some days. You think about how your ancestors probably slept on the move, walking across steppe landscapes for weeks, curling up beside the same mammoth bones every night until they became familiar, taking turns to rest, then waking when the wind changed direction. Some theories suggest that early humans may have evolved to nap more frequently rather than sleeping all at once. Like lions, like wolves, alert, then gone, then alert again. Short cycles of consciousness between longer stretches of rest. Historians still argue whether this polyphasic sleep style was a necessity of environment, or simply a part of natural biology that later cultures tried to suppress with candles, clocks, and caffeine. You stumble a little, stone under the snow. You don't fall, but it snaps you back to the present. One of the others looks over, but says nothing, just a grunt. You nod, keep walking. The landscape shifts slightly. Less open now. More shrubs, a few gnarled trees bent low with ice. If the deer carcass is real, this is where it would be sheltered, out of the wind. You spot something up ahead, not the carcass, but tracks. Fresh ones, rabbit maybe. The others see it too. You all pause. One raises a hand, motioning to fan out. You split right, moving low, stepping lighter now, trying to make yourself part of the snow instead of an intrusion through it. As you move, your mind jumps, without permission, back to last night. That moment when you thought something was breathing outside the shelter. That awareness, that tightening of the gut, that primal surge of adrenaline that made you feel like you were becoming your ancestors, not just remembering them. And then the return to sleep afterward, the body's betrayal. How strange that you could fall back asleep after such a threat. But maybe it wasn't betrayal at all. Maybe that's the key to Ice Age survival. The ability to let go, again and again, to acknowledge danger, process it, react, but not live in it. You wonder if modern minds could manage that, or if today's endless anxiety would have been fatal back then. Because out here, worry doesn't keep you sharp. It just wears you down. A quiet whistle ahead snaps you back. The lead scout gestures. He's found something. You quicken your pace, crunching through the snow until you reach him. It's not a deer. It's a fox, half buried under drift, probably frozen to death last night. The body's stiff, tail curled around its own legs like it tried to sleep through the cold and simply didn't wake up. You stare at it a while, then you help him dig it out. Not much meat, but the pelt is good, and nothing gets wasted. As you wrap the fox in a spare hide, you think again about the word sleep. In one breath, it means safety, warmth, recovery. In another, it's a word for death. Fell asleep and didn't wake up. That's the phrase people use when they don't want to say died. Maybe that's why you're so obsessed with how people slept back then. Because sleep in the Ice Age wasn't separate from life. It was a narrow trail that wound between the two. You and the others start back, taking turns carrying the fox. The clouds thicken above, the wind picking up just a little. Nothing serious yet. You count the steps home by the ache in your thighs. 1, 2, 10, 20 drift. Your brain starts loosening again, even while walking. Not sleep, but close. You remember stories told by elders of dream walking, of men who would hunt inside their dreams, then wake with blood on their hands, of women who claimed to see the future between sleep and waking. You don't know if any of it's true, but it makes a kind of sense. In this place, where the barrier between worlds is as thin as a hide stretched over bone, you reach the camp just as the light begins to fade again. What little of it there was, a full cycle, and already it's time to think about sleep again. But first, food, fire, watching the wind for signs of snow, and choosing again where you'll lay your body down. Will you sleep inside the shelter tonight, or under the stars if the wind stays calm? Will you dream of foxes and frozen deer, or of footsteps outside, too close, too quiet? You pull your hood tighter, shake the snow from your shoulders. There's still time before you have to decide. You're not sure what wakes you. It's dark again, but that doesn't mean much. Darkness is almost constant this time of year, just different shades of black. What pulls you from your half-sleep is quieter than a noise. It's a feeling, like a whisper in your skin. You lie there, curled against the side of the shelter, muscles stiff and nerves crackling. You're not cold this time. Not exactly. You're covered in hide, your own breath warming a pocket of air around your chest. But something feels off. You lift your head slowly, trying not to make a sound. Around you, the others are motionless. The fire has died down again, reduced to soft red glows buried in ash. The air tastes smoky, but also damp. The kind of damp that sinks through bone. You listen, There a shift, a distant crack. You hold your breath, then silence. Could be ice shifting on a nearby creek. Could be a tree splitting under the weight of snow. Or it could be footsteps, heavy, deliberate, predatory. Your mind wants to scream lion again, but you don't move. Not yet. Instead, your thoughts start turning, because the ice age didn't just bring snow and cold. It brought fear, the kind that seeps into your dreams and twists them into warnings. Historians still debate whether early humans truly had a sense of night terror. As we know it, those half-awake, half-dreaming episodes where your body is frozen, your mind alert, and something feels wrong. Some think it's just modern anxiety turned feral. Others believe it's ancient, a survival feature, honed by tens of thousands of years spent sleeping under threat. You lie there, somewhere between sleep and waking, and suddenly you're not sure where the boundary is anymore. Your limbs feel leaden. Your eyes are open, but your body won't move. Something brushes against the outside of the shelter. Not loud. A soft thump, like a large flank brushing hide. You don't breathe. You don't blink. And then nothing. Whatever it was, it moves on. Or decides not to come in. Or maybe it was never there. Maybe you imagined it, dreamed it, heard the memory of something that once hunted your kind in the night. You finally breathe. Slow, quiet, controlled. Sleep doesn't return immediately. Instead, you lie there, examining every inch of darkness like it's a map. You try to find patterns in the quiet. Some people in your clan believe dreams are omens. Others think they're just echoes of the body digesting memory. But you remember what the old man said last winter, when the baby wouldn't sleep, and the mother swore it was the spirits. It's not spirits, he said. It's your brain packing the fence. That phrase stuck with you. Packing the fence. The invisible edge between safety and danger. Wake and sleep. Life and not life. You pace it now, mentally. And just when you think sleep has truly abandoned you, it slips back in. You dream, at least. You think you do. You're standing in a place with no snow. Grass underfoot. Green trees overhead. You hear birds you've never heard before. Your feet are bare and warm. There's no weight on your shoulders. No hide. No tools, just light. And silence. And then, in the dream, you hear it again. That same brush against the shelter wall. But there's no shelter here. No wall. You turn, and the light changes. And just like that, you're awake again. Fully, completely. Your back hurts. Your hip is numb. But you're alive. You glance around. The others are still here. One is snoring softly. Another is murmuring in sleep, whispering a language older than any written down. The fire needs tending. You crawl toward it, lifting a half-burned log with a stick and shifting the embers underneath. You blow gently. Sparks rise. Heat returns. The fire is alive again, in the way sleep never really is. Sleep is borrowed. Fire is made. Your fingers are dirty. cracked at the knuckles. You study them like they belong to someone else. And in a way, they do. These hands were shaped by 1,000 ancestors who built shelters, skinned game, cradled children, and fought off nightmares made of fur and fang. There's a fringe theory you once overheard from a traveling shaman. He said sleep was the other world, a place where spirits tested you, trained you, taught you things you couldn't learn awake. You never asked him what that meant. But now, in the dim red light of the fire, it starts to make sense. You have no clocks here, no alarms, no schedules. Yet every person around you, old and young, sleeps like it's a skill they've mastered, flexible, instinctive, tuned to sound and shadow. And you're beginning to understand. Sleep isn't rest. It's readiness. It's scanning the night without your eyes. It's learning to listen with your skin. That's why the child can doze off during a snowstorm, curled up on a sled. That's why the elder sleeps with one eye half open, tracking the fire's glow like a slow metronome. You bank the flames, layer on a little dried moss for smoke, and sit back. Not sleeping yet, just pausing. That's allowed. In Ice Age nights, there's always someone half awake. Always someone stirring the fire, or muttering to themselves, or just sitting with thoughts too heavy to hold while lying down. You hear footsteps behind you. You don't flinch this time. Just a fellow sleeper rising for water. He nods, silent. You nod back. No words, just mutual recognition. We're both packing the fence tonight. You stare into the fire together for a while. And it's not lonely. Not really. Just human. Eventually, you lie back down, curling into the warmth again. Hopping this time, the dream will be gentler. You don't know if it will be, but you let go anyway. Because here, in this vast frozen silence, the bravest thing you can do is close your eyes. It's not morning when you wake, but something is different. The dark has thinned, just a little. The fire is nothing more than a warm memory now, and your breath fogs softly in front of your lips. It's that in-between time again, when night has technically ended, but the sun still hasn't found the strength to rise. You open your eyes to shadows. Pale light filters in through the stretched hide wall of the shelter. Cold has crept in, licking at your back like a stray dog. You roll over slowly, trying not to disturb the others. Some are still wrapped in sleep, snoring softly. One is already gone, likely out to check the trap lines or find clean snow to melt. You sit up and stretch. Every joint protests. Sleeping on animal hide laid over packed snow is a different kind of rest. It preserves life, not comfort. You were warm enough, but your spine feels like it's been pressed between two stones. You crack your neck left, then right. That's better. Kind of. You pull on your outer layer, the hide stiff and cold against your skin. Still, it's familiar. You tie it around your waist and slip outside. The sky is a heavy gray. Not yet snowing, but you can smell it coming. You walk a short way from the shelter. into the open field that served as your night's camp. The landscape is breathtaking in its bleakness. White stretching forever. Trees huddled against the wind like survivors. You crouch beside the fire pit, stirring what's left of the coals with a stick. No point relighting it just yet. The day's work waits, but before you start that cycle again, you allow yourself a moment, just one, to reflect on sleep, on dreams, on the strange rhythm your life has fallen into. You used to think of sleep as something you did. Now, it feels more like something that happens to you, like weather, like hunger. Some anthropologists believe Ice Age humans didn't think of sleep as a binary on or off, wake or rest, but as a fluid state, like a tide that came and went. You weren't either awake or asleep, you were somewhere on the scale. A little more here, a little less there. Napping while walking, dreaming with eyes open, listening even while unconscious. It makes sense. In a world like this, you don't get to own sleep. You borrow it, steal it when you can, and you never take too much, or the world takes something back. You think about the old woman from the coastal camp, the one with more wrinkles than years and eyes that saw backward through time. She used to say, "Sleep is a doorway. You don't know what side you'll wake up on." That used to scare you. Now it just makes sense. Because there were nights, hard nights, when you didn't think you would wake up. Storms that rattled the walls of the shelter. Winds that screamed like angry spirits. Times when food was low and warmth was lower. When the baby wouldn't stop crying and the wolves howled too close. And yet you always woke, somehow, but that doesn't mean it was restful. Rest is a luxury. Sleep is a necessity. There's a difference. You stand and scan the snowline. Tracks, old ones, run toward the trees. Nothing fresh. You follow them anyway, mostly to stay moving. As you walk, you think about the sleep of animals. Bears curling deep into caves, wrapped in silence. Wolves dozing in packs, always one eye watching. Mammoths shifting their weight in dreams you'll never understand. Maybe that's what you dream about now. Not visions or symbols, but instinct. Your body, replaying memories it never lived. You stumble over a root half buried in snow. Not enough to fall, but enough to jolt you back to the present. You crouch, place a hand on the cold ground. Close your eyes. For a moment, you wonder if you could sleep right here. You've done it before. On long hunts, in deeper winter. Just a moment of stillness, a stolen nap between moments of survival. Historians still argue whether ancient humans prioritized core sleep the way we do today. 8 uninterrupted hours under a blanket. That sounds absurd out here. Luxury fiction. Instead, Ice Age sleep was broken, fragmented, adaptive. A few hours after sunset. A few more before dawn. Naps through the day. Resting eyes when the body refused to move. And yes, waking up at the slightest sound. A twig snapping. A branch creaking. The shift of a sleeping companion. It trained your brain to be light on the leash. You could slip into sleep, but never too far. You always kept one foot near waking. You rise and brush snow off your knees. You keep walking, even though you do know where you're going. That's another thing about sleep in the Ice Age. It came with movement. The body was tired so often that sleep didn't wait for a bed. It arrived on your feet, while chewing dried meat, while leaning against a tree, even while staring into firelight until your thoughts stopped making sense. Some nights, you would drift off mid-story. Someone else would take over without missing a beat. You'd wake to laughter or silence and have no idea how long you'd been gone. The world didn't pause when you slept. It shifted. Back in the camp, the others are likely stirring now. You've been gone a while. You turn and start heading back, each step crunching lightly on new frost. As you walk, you remember one last thing. The dream you had just before waking. This time, it wasn't trees or strange birds or foxes that didn't move. It was people, your people, but not as they are now. They stood in a room, a real room with walls and lights and chairs, and you were there too, but they didn't see you. They were talking about history, about you, pointing at drawings of caves, bones, stones turned into tools, trying to guess what your life was like, how you slept, what woke you. You wanted to scream at them, to say, it was cold, it was hard, but we lived. But no sound came out. They couldn't hear you. And then you woke. Now walking through a snowfield. That dream feels strange and distant, but not meaningless. Because someday someone will ask, how did they sleep? And maybe, just maybe, they'll remember to ask what woke you up, and whether, in that in-between moment, you saw the world as it really was. Not just dangerous, but alive. By the time you return to the shelter, the world has shifted again. Morning still hasn't properly arrived, but the sky has traded black for a deep, heavy blue. The kind of blue that promises snow, but won't say when. Someone's feeding the fire. You nod to them, still half in your head. The others are moving now, slow, quiet. No one speaks much yet. Ice Age mornings are never about cheerfulness. They're about survival, about warming up stiff fingers and coaxing frozen boots into movement. You shake out your limbs, rub warmth into your shoulders, and duck back inside the shelter. There's an unspoken rhythm to mornings here. You don't talk about sleep, not usually, unless someone had a dream they think matters. Then they might share. The old woman might listen. She's the one who knows which dreams are signs and which are just leftover thoughts from a hard day. But most of the time, you keep it to yourself, because everyone's sleep is fragile, shaky. You don't poke at it, like waking a bear. This morning, though, something feels off. Not just inside you, there's a tension in the shelter, a stillness. Then you notice one person is missing. You glance around. It takes a few seconds to count, to be sure. But yes, one figure short. A young man, light sleeper, always alert, should have been back before you were. Your heart tightens. You step back outside, scan the horizon. Nothing but gray, no tracks, no sound. He wouldn't have gone far. No one does in this cold without a reason. You hear a low voice behind you. It's the old man muttering. He was talking in his sleep again. About lights. You look at him. Lights. He nods. Said he saw lights moving in the sky. Thought it was fire, but the sky was clear. You've heard of this. The Northern Lights. Ghost fire, some call it. Spirits dancing, a warning, or a message. Historians today know it as aurora borealis, charged solar particles lighting up the atmosphere. But to you, it's still mystery. Magic in motion. Something you don't question when it shows up, just something you watch. Some people believe those lights can call you. Not with words, just with wonder. Maybe that's where he went. Or maybe he's just lost in the snow. You gather your gear quickly, fur wrap, stone blade, dried meat. You whistle low to another man, and he joins you without asking. No one talks, just nods. It's understood. Searching in the cold is like chasing a shadow. The wind blows tracks away within minutes. Snow blurs everything. And out here, time runs differently. You could be 20 feet from someone and still never see them if they're not moving. You walk for a while, following instinct more than logic. The snow begins to fall again. Light at first, then thicker like ash. Your feet crunch into the crusted surface, breaking through every few steps. Exhausting, but you keep going. Because here's the truth of Ice Age life. You sleep knowing you may have to wake to someone missing. And that sometimes, sleep itself is what takes them. Not just the cold, not predators, but sleep so deep they don't wake. A silent slipping away. The old ones say it happens when you dream of warmth. You see a fire, you walk toward it, and you just keep going. Some fringe scholars today think that's a folk memory of hypothermia. That in deep cold, the body confuses signals, makes you feel warm right before you die. They call it paradoxical undressing. Victims found in the snow, clothes removed, peaceful faces. You've seen it. You remember your uncle, curled in a drift, smiling, his hands bare. You remember the way they wrapped him after, whispering prayers to the sky. That's why you keep moving, even though every step is harder than the last, even though you know in your gut what you might find. After an hour, you do. He's lying by a fallen log, curled like a child, one arm outstretched. His eyes are closed. At first, your brain tries to hope. Maybe he's just sleeping. Maybe the cold forced him down, but he's still breathing. You rush forward, but no, the snow on his back is undisturbed. He's been here a while. You kneel, touch his shoulder. He's stiff, still, gone. You sit back in the snow, heart heavy, breath catching in your throat. Your companion lowers his head, murmuring something to the earth. You don't cry, not because you don't want to, but because because the cold doesn't allow it. Tears freeze too fast, and grief can come later, maybe around the fire. For now, you just carry it. You wrap him as best you can in your spare cloak. He's light, lighter than you remember. You carry him between you, the two of you taking turns. Back at the shelter, no one says much. They just step aside. The fire is burning brighter now. Someone adds moss to the flames for smoke. The old woman sprinkles herbs on the coals. You lay him beside the warmth, not for him anymore, but for you. That night, no one sleeps deeply. Sleep becomes a prayer, a question. You lie with your back to the fire, staring at the hide ceiling. You hear the others breathing. You hear someone sniffle quietly. Another person shifts, trying to find comfort that doesn't come. You close your eyes and dream. This time you're in a field of grass again, but you're not alone. He's there too, the one who didn't wake. He smiles at you, then turns away. You don't follow. You wake with your chest tight, the fire flickering low. You survived another night, but you feel it. Sleep isn't safe. It never was. It's a gamble, a surrender. Every time you close your eyes, you trust the world not to change too much while you're gone. And sometimes it breaks that trust. But still you sleep, because the body demands it, because the mind needs it, because tomorrow you'll walk again, and the world won't care if you're tired. In the Ice Age, rest isn't indulgence. It's rebellion. It's belief that you'll wake up again. You stare into the embers, thinking of all the people who slept here before you, and those who won't again. And still you lie down. You close your eyes, and you let go. When you open your eyes again, it's still dark, but something has changed. Not the temperature, though the air still bites your face like a jealous lover. Not the light, though the fire has burned down into a nest of poolsing embers. It's the silence, a new kind of silence, dense, alert, the kind that makes your skin prickle before your brain catches up. You sit up slowly. No rustling, no talking. Everyone else is awake too. You can feel it in the stillness. They're lying there, not moving, listening like you. Then it comes, a sound, distant but sharp. Not an animal, not the wind. A crack, like stone on ice. You all glance at each other. Someone stands, carefully picks up a spear. No one speaks, because no one has to. This is not the first time something has come in the night. This is another truth of Ice Age sleep. What wakes you isn't always your own body. Sometimes it's the world outside nudging you in the ribs, reminding you it's still wild, still watching. You crawl out of the shelter, blade in hand. The snow reflects a dim silver from a hidden moon. The cold rushes over you like a second skin. You crouch low, eyes scanning the tree line. Another crack, closer. This time, others hear it too. They're gathering behind you, quiet, tight-lipped. No panic, just readiness. Then a shape. It's hard to tell what it is at first. It moves slowly on 4 legs, broad, heavy. Its breath steams in the cold air. You freeze. A cave lion, larger than a modern lion, heavier, hungrier. This one must be old, desperate to come this close to fire. You don't move. Neither does it. You can feel your heart pounding in your ears. You grip the stone blade tighter. You think about what you've heard, that lions rarely attack unless provoked, that they stalk the weak, the slow, the separate. But this one, it looks right at you, and suddenly you understand. Sleep isn't just what happens to you. It's what happens around you. It's what predators count on, what danger waits for. You've always known this, deep down. That to sleep in the Ice Age is to place your body in the mouth of the world and pray it doesn't bite. Someone behind you throws a burning stick. It arcs through the air, an orange blur, and lands near the lion's feet. It growls, a low, guttural thunder. Then it turns, just like that, gone, melting into the trees like smoke. You exhale, finally. You turn to the others. Their eyes reflect the firelight. No one says anything, but everyone feels it. You are close, too close. Back in the shelter, the fire is built up again. Bigger now, brighter. You wrap yourself tighter in your furs, but not because of the cold. You won't sleep again, not tonight. And that's okay, because this was the cost of surviving here. Sleep wasn't free. It was a deal. You give the world your awareness for a few hours, and in return, maybe it lets you wake up, or maybe it doesn't. Historians still argue whether Ice Age humans experienced chronic sleep deprivation, whether the constant threat of predators, hunger, and cold whittled down their rest to the bare minimum. Some argue they must have adapted, sleeping in bursts, layered with watch cycles, napping in shifts. Others point out evidence from certain cave sites, stone rings, communal hearths, shared bedding areas that suggest more comfort than we assume. That maybe, just maybe, there were pockets of peace. Nights when the fire was high, the bellies full, and the lions far away. Maybe you lie back down anyway, staring at the hide above you. Your body aches for sleep, but your brain is wide open, listening for cracks, growls, breaths that don't belong. It reminds you of the story told by the woman with the missing fingers. Frostbite survivor. She said that back in her youth. She lived in a mountain pass where the winds would scream like dying gods. And on those nights, she said, she would only sleep with her back against a stone wall, her blade across her chest, and one eye barely closed. She called it half sleep, and she said it kept her alive for decades. Now you understand her. You close your eyes, just enough, and you slip into that place between. Your thoughts start to wander again. This time, they don't go to dreams, or warmth, or fire. They go to patterns, the way every danger comes in threes, the way your people have learned to sleep in clusters, like wolves, the way the oldest child is always closest to the door, not to protect, but to escape first if things go wrong, and the way stories are passed down, not just around the fire, but in the shape of sleep itself. Because even sleep is a kind of story. It's memory wrapped in silence, an instinct shaped by centuries. When you lie down, you're not just closing your eyes, you're becoming part of a chain. Your ancestors dreamed like this, curled up beside fire and fear, listening, watching, surviving. And someday, maybe someone will dream of you. Not your face, maybe, but your shape, your rhythm, your caution, your courage. You wonder what they'll call it. Will they see it as primitive? Will they wrap it in names like polyphasic, or segmented, or broken sleep? Will they ever understand what it was like to sleep in the mouth of winter, to fall into dreams with the scent of blood and ash in your nose, to wake up not because of an alarm, but because something moved, and yet, even now, you feel it creeping back. The weight in your limbs, the softness behind your eyes. Sleep doesn't care that you're scared. Sleep doesn't care that you're trying to stay awake. It always comes back, like the tide, like winter, like the next hunt. So you let go, slowly, 1 inch at a time. Your body relaxes, your fingers loosen, your breath evens out. Somewhere outside, a wolf howls, far away. You hear it, but you don't answer, because this time you're going under. And maybe, just maybe, you'll come back. You wake up slow, not because something startles you, not this time. No crack, no roar, no gasp. Just the quiet warmth of your own body, curled like a comma against someone else's back. The hide blanket smells like smoke and musk and faintly of moss. You breathe it in. For a moment, you don't open your eyes. You let yourself stay there, draped in the soft fog of half-sleep, where dreams still echo and the world hasn't quite crept in. It's rare, this kind of waking. Gentle, undisturbed. You wonder if it's late morning, if the others have already risen, or if the night stretched kindly for once, without interruption. Then you hear it, the low murmur of voices. Not afraid, not urgent, just talking. You open your eyes. The fire has burned down, but there's a thin glow left in its belly. The smoke rises straight up through the hole in the shelter's ceiling. No wind. You sit up, stretch. Your shoulders crack. Across the shelter, a few of the elders are sitting cross-legged, whispering over something. You recognize the pattern instantly. It's one of those mornings where a story is being passed. You inch closer, still wrapped in your blanket. They're tracing marks into the dirt with a burnt stick. Lines, dots, little symbols. A map, maybe, or a dream. The old woman with the gray braid looks up, catches your eye. You remember what you saw last night? She asks, voice low. You nod, the lion. She shakes her head. Before that, you pause, try to remember. There was something, a flicker of light, a flash behind your eyes. You thought it was just the fire. You dreamed, she says, didn't you? You nod again, slower this time. She leans forward, drawing something in the dirt, an oval with lines running through it, like a broken egg. You went under, she whispers, and something showed you the other side. It's not the first time someone's spoken like this. Not here. In Ice Age culture, dreams aren't just illusions. They're bridges, open doors. Sometimes they show warnings. Sometimes messages from the spirits. And sometimes they reveal memories that don't belong to you. Memories older than yourself. Historians today call this animism, a belief system where everything animal, plant, wind, shadow has a spirit, a voice. And in dreams, those voices whisper. You stare at the shape she's drawn. You've seen it before. On a cave wall months ago, deep in a red chamber where you weren't supposed to go. It looked just like this, the cracked oval, the bones laid out like sun rays, a symbol of passage. You ask what it means. She just says, the way through. Then someone behind you clears their throat. A young man, probably no older than you, leans forward. You're a deep sleeper, he says, not unkindly. Not everyone dreams like that. And he's right. Some of your group never remember their dreams. Some don't even want to. For them, sleep is just a space between hunts, a place to power down. But for others, like you, it's more. A message board, a puzzle. Your dreams have been changing lately, becoming clearer. Symbols instead of stories, sounds instead of faces. You ask the elders what it means. The oldest man, whose voice rarely emerges, finally speaks. It means you're remembering more than your own life. He smiles faintly. Some say our dreams are inherited, passed down like the shape of our noses or the width of our shoulders. That when you sleep, you sometimes step into the footprints of an ancestor. You think of the dream again, the frozen river, the figure calling out from the other side, the warmth in your chest, even though the world was ice. Was that someone else's memory? Maybe. Modern scientists might say it's just pattern recognition. That the brain, even back then, needed to stitch chaos into narrative. That dreams were just neural static, random firings from a tired mind trying to stay sane in a brutal world. But they weren't there when the old woman said your dream was the same one her father had before the mammoths disappeared. They weren't there when your brother dreamed of a red bear and died 2 days later from a wound no one saw coming. And they weren't there when last winter 3 people had the same dream on the same night. And you found the cave mouth the next morning, exactly where they said it would be. Dreams matter. So does sleep, but not just as rest, as record, as ritual. Later that morning, you head out with a few others. The snow has settled thickly overnight, but the sun is rising, pale and cold like a pearl. You carry your tools on your back. Antler pick, stone scraper, a few flint knives. Today's goal, gather saplings for spear shafts. Birch, maybe, or young ash. As you walk, you think about the dreams again. You think about the fact that every step you take is layered over someone else. Thousands of people, thousands of winters. And somehow, through firelight and sleep and snow, something of them has reached you. It makes the forest feel different, larger, like it's not just a place, but a witness. You find the trees you're looking for near a frozen creek. Thin, straight trunks, still flexible. Good wood. As you begin to cut them, the man beside you hums a song under his breath. You recognize the tune. It's an old one. Wordless, but familiar. A lullaby. You ask him where he learned it. He shrugs. I don't know, just always knew it. You nod. You've had that feeling too. That something you thought was yours was actually handed down, quietly, across time. It's like sleep is the river, and dreams are the little boats we send across. Some drift away, some sink, but some find the other shore. You finish gathering the wood. The sun is higher now. The snow gleams like crushed bone. On the way back, you spot a series of tracks, deep, strange, not from any animal you recognize. The others see it too. Bear, one asks. Too long, another says. You all stare at it for a while. Then someone mutters, maybe it's from a dream. No one laughs, because out here, that's not a joke. That's just possible. You walk on in silence. By the time you return to camp, your legs ache and your hands are red with cold. But your head is full of something else entirely. Dreams, patterns, shadows, and the quiet miracle that, somehow, your people keep waking up day after day, century after century, even in a world that doesn't want them to, even when the nights are long and the fire is low and the lions are hungry. You glance at the shelter as you approach. Tonight you'll sleep again, and maybe you'll dream, and maybe, just maybe, you'll remember something no one else ever could. The sun barely moves across the sky now. It drags itself just above the horizon for a few sluggish hours, then slips back beneath the snow-covered ridges like a guilty secret. These are the deepest days of winter, days when time itself seems to slow down, stretch thin, and creak at the edges. And when night falls, it falls hard. You feel it in your bones as you return from a short scouting trip, a dull heaviness behind the eyes, like your skull is made of wet wood. You've been out watching the river for signs of animal movement, but even the foxes have retreated. The snow is too thick, the wind too sharp. Tonight, you think, will be a long one. Back at camp, the fire is already blazing. A mound of snow has been cleared away, forming a half wall around the circle of warmth, blocking the wind from three sides. The flicker of flames dances across faces, tired faces, hollow cheeks, eyes ringed with frostburn and sleepless nights. You settle in, peeling off your outer furs, shaking the snow loose. The others murmur greetings, pass you a small handful of roasted root bitter, chewy, but warm. You eat in silence. Then slowly, the talk starts. Not loud, not hushed, the kind of talk that creeps out only when the fire has been burning for hours, and the shadows around it are thick and comforting, and always, always, it turns to sleep, not in the way modern people might speak of it, like an inconvenience or luxury, but like a language. One man rubs his chest and says he dreamed last night of walking across a lake that cracked beneath him. Another says she kept waking up because she thought someone was whispering her name, but no one was. A child, too young to lie convincingly, says he saw a bird with fire in its beak flying through the hut. His mother hushes him, but not unkindly. And then you, still chewing the bitter root, remember something. Your dream, or what might have been one. It wasn't vivid, not like the others. No lion this time. No ancestors speaking in riddles. Just a cave, vast, cold, empty. And in the middle, a stone shaped like a skull. Smooth, too smooth, sitting in a pool of water that glowed blue from beneath. You speak it aloud. The old woman with the braid tilts her head. Again, you nod. She mutters something about the moon and gets up to check the sky. You hear her breath catch. It's full. You feel a chill that has nothing to do with the wind. Because here's the thing no one writes in textbooks. Full moons are different in the Ice Age. Not just because they're brighter against the snow, but because sleep gets stranger under them, more broken, more intense, as if your brain drinks in the extra light through your skull and starts spinning faster. Even modern sleep scientists, yes, they exist, have debated whether lunar phases impact sleep cycles. Some say it's nonsense. Others claim full moons measurably reduce deep sleep and increase wakefulness. But your people, they've known it forever. When the moon is full, no one expects a restful night. Instead, they wait. They watch. They dream louder. You shift closer to the fire, suddenly more awake. Someone begins a quiet chant, a rhythmic murmur that rises and falls like a heartbeat. It's not a song meant for dancing or battle. It's a sleep song, not a lullaby, a ward, to keep bad dreams away, or to invite the good ones in, or maybe both. No one's ever quite agreed. Historians still argue whether these chants had religious significance or were purely cultural comfort. Were they protective magic, or just the world's first version of white noise? Some say they mirrored breathing rhythms to synchronize group sleep cycles, turning dozens of bodies into one slow, pulsing animal of heat and heartbeat. You listen, letting it pull you inward. Then, as you lie back and close your eyes, the familiar shift begins. Your body relaxes. Your awareness doesn't. That's the other secret of Ice Age sleep. It's layered. There's the shallow surface, twitchy, responsive, 1 foot always still in the world. Then deeper, where dreams begin. But the fire is still audible, and the crunch of snow outside might still wake you. And then the deep, the place with no sound, no cold, no sense of how long you've been under. That's where you're headed now, just before you slip all the way in, something presses against your side. A small hand, the child from earlier, the one who saw the bird of fire. He crawls next to you, wide-eyed, silent. You shift your blanket, let him slide under. No questions, no need. Because in the Ice Age, sleep is communal not just for warmth, but for safety, for dreaming, for trust. That's another modern myth shattered. The idea of sleeping alone. Back then, it was rare. Solitary sleep was a punishment or a necessity during travel, not a choice. Even in the smallest groups, people slept in clusters, backs pressed, arms overlapped, furs layered into a single cocoon of survival. The body heat wasn't just warmth, it was reminder. You weren't alone, not in the dark, not in the deep. You feel the child's breath steady beside you. His limbs relax. And soon, very soon, your own thoughts begin to dissolve. But just before sleep takes you completely, your mind reaches for one last thought. If the moon changes your dreams, and your dreams change your memories, then what kind of memory is this? This strange life, half frozen, half glowing, stretched between waking and wonder. You don't get an answer. You never do. But as your body surrenders to sleep, one last image flickers behind your eyes. The skull-shaped stone. But this time, it's cracked open, and something is crawling out of it, soft, shining, and utterly silent. You don't feel fear. You feel remembered, as if the dream is looking back at you. And that, somehow, is comfort enough. You wake suddenly, without reason, not to danger, not to noise, not even to cold. Just awake. The fire is low again, a faint red shimmer beneath a pile of glowing ash. No wind, no sound. Everyone around you is still, limbs tangled beneath furs and skins. The child who crept next to you sleeps with his mouth slightly open, breath rising in slow, steady clouds. Your eyes flick to the shelter's ceiling wooden beams lashed with sinew, patched with hide, and then beyond, through the smoke hole, to the sky. The moon is still full. It hangs low and fat over the treetops, like it's staring directly at you, and something inside you whispers, "Go." You don't argue. You don't even fully understand. But you've lived long enough out here to stop needing full explanations. Some urges just matter more than others. You slide out of the shelter, careful not to disturb anyone. The cold wraps around you like a second skin, sharp, immediate, holy. You pull your cloak tighter, but you don't go back. You just start walking. Where? You don't know yet, but your feet seem to. You move past the ring of stones, past the stacked firewood, past the bones hanging from a tree like wind chimes, leftovers of past hunts. Now totems meant to whisper warnings or blessings. You pass them all, and still you walk. Here's something modern people forget. The dark isn't silent. Not out here. Every branch holds breath. Every ridge creaks. The trees talk to themselves, to each other, to the wind. And as you move beneath them, a strange thought floats into your mind. What if this isn't a sleepwalking accident? What if this is the dream? Because it feels that way. Like your thoughts are slower, heavier. Like the snow isn't snow, but memory white, soft, swallowing your footprints as fast as you make them. You reach the frozen stream. You recognize it vaguely. You've gathered wood near here, trapped small game. But now, under the moon, it looks different. Broader, deeper, wilder. And then you see it. There, on the far side, that cave, the same one from your dream. You're sure of it, and it shouldn't be here. You've never seen it before. Not in daylight, not in stories. It's tucked behind a ridge, its mouth shadowed by a fallen tree, half covered in snow. But it's real now. You step onto the ice. It groans beneath you, a slow, whale-like complaint. You move fast, not running, but not stopping. Each step is a gamble, and the cold feels alive now, curling up your ankles, biting your fingers through your gloves. By the time you reach the cave mouth, your heart is pounding. The air inside is warmer than outside, barely, but still warmer. You duck in. It swallows you whole. Inside, the sound changes. No more wind, just breath, your own. The cave. And then light, faint flickering, from deep within. It's impossible, you tell yourself, but you keep walking. The tunnel curves slightly left, then opens, and there it is. The dream made flesh. A stone, round, smooth, skull-shaped, exactly as you saw it, sitting in the center of a shallow pool, faintly glowing from within. Not from fire, from something else. The light is bluish, like moonlight underwater. You move closer, mesmerized. There are marks around the pool, symbols scratched into the cave floor. Circles, spirals, a handprint, a child, and for some reason, that's what makes your knees buckle, because it's the same hand you saw painted on a cave wall when you were young. The same proportions, the same missing fingertip. You never understood it then. You don't understand it now. You just know this place is old, older than the group, older than the animals, older than memory. You kneel, reach out, and then footsteps. Behind you, you spin around, but there's no one, just the dark tunnel. Still, the sound lingers, echoes in your ears, and suddenly, you're not sure you're supposed to be here, because if this is a memory, it's not yours. If this is a dream, it isn't only yours. Something watching. You can feel it. Not malevolent, not kind either. Just witnessing. You lower your hand, sit back on your heels, breathe. For a long moment, nothing moves. And then one small sound. A drip from the ceiling above the stone. Water falls, hits the surface of the pool, and ripples outward. 1, 2, 3 waves, and then stillness again. You stand, not afraid, just changed. You walk backward out of the cave, slowly, never turning your back. Once outside, you realize It's nearly dawn. The moon has dipped lower, almost gone. The sky is bleeding faint blue and rose at the edges. You cross the ice again, back to camp, back to warmth, back to the furs and the child and the low flicker of firelight, back to the others, none of whom woke while you were gone. Or maybe they did, and they just understood, because sometimes you have to go where the dream takes you. Sometimes the world needs you to see something, even if no one will believe it. And sometimes you don't need proof. You just need to know that you came back, and that tomorrow, when you fall asleep again, the cave will still be there, waiting, like a book you haven't finished, like a promise you didn't mean to make, like memory itself. You slide under the blanket again. The child shifts beside you, and before sleep takes you once more, you whisper a word you didn't know you remembered. A name, maybe yours, maybe someone else. It doesn't matter, because now you're part of the story too. The weather breaks. Just like that, you wake to the sound of dripping. Not the eerie, echoing drip of the cave pool. This time, it's closer, friendlier. Snow melting from the roofline. Ice giving up its hold on the edges of the fire pit. The air smells different. Still cold, but not deadly. The kind of cold that makes your chest feel bigger when you breathe in. The child beside you is already awake, eyes wide, silent as usual. But something about the way he watches the roof makes you think he feels it too. That something has shifted. You sit up, stretch, bones creak, muscles protest, but there's a softness in it. The others are stirring too. One by one. Slow movements, not rushed. Nobody speaks at first, not out of fear or fatigue, but reverence. As if waking together is its own kind of ritual. Then someone laughs, a short, raspy sound. You turn. It's the old woman with the braid. She's looking at the doorway where sunlight has begun to creep across the floor. You made it, she says. You're not sure if she means the group or you. You smile anyway. Outside, the world is a mess of slush and sparkle. The snow has slumped in on itself, revealing bits of earth and stone beneath. Animal tracks, old ones, emerge from the melt like a forgotten map. Somewhere in the woods, a raven calls, sharp, clear, unafraid. It's the first real sign of life you've heard in days. You feel something swell in your chest, hope maybe, or just hunger. People begin moving in earnest now, gathering fuel, checking the snares, opening storage pits dug into the ground weeks ago. Food is still tight, but it won't be forever. The thaw is coming, and with it, another shift in the rhythm of sleep. You see, winter in the Ice Age isn't just a season. It's a way of being. And now that way is ending. The nights will still be long, but not as long. The fire will still be needed, but less worshipped. You won't have to layer every sleep with songs and prayers and watchful eyes. Instead, you'll start rising earlier, sleeping lighter, spending more time outside, listening for the movements of animals returning to old trails. You'll nap under trees during long hunts, furs wrapped loosely around you like a shrug instead of armor. The deep, two-phase sleep you clung to in the heart of winter will begin to shift, less interrupted by cold, less ruled by moonlight. Dreams will become stranger, briefer, quicker to dissolve by morning. Historians still argue whether seasonal light changes directly shaped ancient circadian rhythms, or if our ancestors simply adapted on instinct, bending sleep like bark around a tree's scar. But the evidence suggests this. Ice Age humans didn't fight sleep. They danced with it, let it rise and fall like breath. They didn't ask it to fit their schedule. They listened for its cues. And now, that rhythm is changing again, but not just because of temperature or light. Something else happened. You did. You're different now. That dream, the cave, the pool, the handprint lingers in your body like smoke in your hair. You haven't spoken of it yet. You're not sure you will. Not right away. It's not that they wouldn't believe you. It's that they might believe you too well. And once something like that is named out loud, it becomes real, or worse, ordinary. You want to hold on to its mystery a little longer. Instead, you help with chores. Skin a rabbit, patch a tear in someone's boot, stack some firewood. Ordinary things, good things. Later, after the midday meal, you see the child who slept beside you sitting alone near the edge of camp. He's building something with twigs, carefully balanced little towers that look like tiny huts, or maybe totems. One has a flat stone at its center, dark and oval. You sit beside him, silent. After a while, he speaks. "It was real," he says. You don't ask what he means. You just nod. He builds in silence for another minute, then adds, "It's still there." You nod again, because yes, it is. Even if the cave disappears again. Even if the snow swallows the path. Even if no one else ever sees it. It's there, somewhere in the deep folds of memory and dream. In the places we go when we're not fully awake, but not quite asleep either. The places we rarely talk about, but always return to. You ruffle the child's hair and stand. Night will fall again soon. Not as harsh, not as long, but night nonetheless. You'll gather with the others. There will be laughter again. Jokes. Maybe a story. A real one this time, not just the memories whispered between half sleep and dawn. You'll fall asleep more easily tonight. Not because you're less tired, but because you're less alone. Because something shifted in the way you dream. Because now you know what it means to be watched over, not just by those around you, but by something older, something colder, something eternal. You lie down, pull the furs over your shoulders, feel the gentle press of another body beside yours. And as your eyelids begin to flutter, you catch a flicker of that light again, not from fire, not from moon, from memory, still glowing, still waiting, still yours. And now finally you rest, from exhaustion, not from fear, but from fullness, the kind of rest that follows not just a long day, but a long understanding, the kind that settles into your bones without asking, that wraps itself around your thoughts like smoke curling into a night sky. The shelter is quiet. The fire has burned low, throwing only the softest amber glow across the backs of sleeping bodies. The air hums with the faint rise and fall of breath. No storms, no wolves, just the slow, patient rhythm of people who made it through another night. You shift a little under the furs, warm now, dry, still carrying the memory of the cave in your chest like a secret ember. And outside, far from the shelter, the ice begins to break, not all at once, but in tiny, invisible ways. A crack here, a drip there, roots stretching, snow slewing off trees, the quiet song of the earth waking up beneath its frozen blanket. And you sleep, not as a survivor, not as a hunter, but as something older, something softer. You sleep like someone who remembers, not just your life, but all the ones that came before. You sleep with the breath of the child beside you rising and falling in time with your own. And if there's still something out there watching deep in the dark, or high in the sky, or nestled in some dream you haven't yet had it seize you now, and it is still, and it is kind. So for now, just let go. No need to think. No need to move. No need to understand. Only this: you are warm, you are safe, and you are home.